We saw how to draw a square using a turtle module. Now let's try to use looping concepts to reduce the number of lines in our program. A good programmer will always try to reduce the number of lines in his code. Okay, it shows how well versed in programming he is. So loops are those things which can actually reduce the number of lines. If you are going to repeat a set of lines for a number of times, you can use loops to reduce the number of lines here. In C program, okay, we can use for loop and while loop. Here too, we can use either for loop or while loop to reduce the number of lines here. Let's try to use for loop first to reduce these 7 lines into 2. Okay, we can reduce these 7 lines into 2 by using for loop or while loop. Okay, let's use using for loop first and then we'll go with while loop. In C program, the for loop syntax is like this: for integer I equals to 0, semicolon I less than 4, and then I plus plus, then whatever comes inside the loop you give inside curly braces. So this is the syntax for loop in C program. Okay, this is how you use for loop in C program. In Python, we'll use a for loop, but not this way. What we'll do is like this: for I in range in brackets 4. I'll tell you what this is. And then whatever comes inside loop, that has to be indented like this. You know what is indentation? Indentation means this space, you give some space from the beginning column. It's called indentation. Whenever you use, sometimes when you use write paragraphs, you indent and then start things, right? Then you start things. Okay, this is how you do. This is called indentation. In Python, indentation is very important. In C program, whenever you use a loop or a condition something, you use curly braces like this and give whatever comes inside like this. So this tells, actually these curly braces tell that these two lines are inside those. Here in Python, we don't use curly braces, we use indentation. So what this means here is, listen carefully. Now this indentation for all these lines, okay, we don't need all these lines, we need only 2 lines. We are going to repeat these 2 lines 4 times, right? Go forward, turn right 4 times, will actually draw you a square. Okay, so this indentation means these 2 lines are inside for loop, which means these 2 lines are going to be repeated 4 times. Let's say I don't indent this, I just remove the indentation here. Let's see what happens. This. Okay, before that, this range is a function which can takes in which numbers until what number you give. For example, if I give 4, the range's value will be from 0 to 3. If I give 9, range gives value from 0 to 8. So whatever number you give, then until the number before that, it gives those numbers. So here why we use that is, we need to make this run for 4 times to draw a square, right? So I am giving I the value from 0 to 3, 0, 1, 2, 3 to make this run for 4 times. If you have used for loop already, you will understand this. Those who don't understand, maybe if you're new to programming, please watch my core programming concepts which is already shown before this. Make sure you clear the concepts, basic programming concepts using that, and then come back here. Okay, now let's run this and see what happens. I'm running this. You can see it goes just like that, straight. Okay, you don't see anything happening. What is it? See. So what happens here is, it just goes straight. So what happens here is, this pen dot forward runs for 4 times. So it goes for 4 times, and finally it comes out of the for loop and it turns right and stand. But what we actually want is, we want it to turn for every 100 steps. We want the cursor to rotate 90 degrees for every 100 steps. So we have to indent this inside, save this, run this. You can see square happening. So what happens there is, pen dot forward 100, pen dot 90, happens 4 times, that will draw you a square. Now the same thing can be done using a while. You can just replace for with a while like this, and it will work the same way. Okay, now here is the program, here is the error. What you see here is stop. Okay, now the same thing can be done using while loop, but if you just replace for with a while, it will throw you an error. Let's see what the error is. See, it doesn't draw, it throws an error saying I is not defined. When you're using a for loop, I get initialized automatically. Okay, the value of I will get initialized automatically. But in while condition, in while loop, you have to explicitly say what I is. You have to initialize I, declare I. So just like this, you have to say I is 0, what I is, and all that. And even now, if you run this, you'll see it happening indefinitely. The square will be drawn indefinitely. See, it keeps happening. Now why this happens is, you're saying I is 0, but you're not incrementing the value of I. You're not changing the value of I from 0 to 1, then 1 to 2, then 2 to 3. This doesn't while loop doesn't automatically increment the value of I from 0 to 3. So what you have to do is you have to say that explicitly here again, I equals to I plus 1, and this one you have to say not range if I is less than 4, which means initially I is 0, so this condition is true, it goes in, draws one side, then increments I by 1, so I's value will be 1, goes forward, then 2, then 3, so it will do this 4 times and then it will stop. I'll say this. Yeah. So the difference between for and while you must have understood. For does 3 things. It initializes, okay, with the value automatically. Then it checks condition, whether I is less than whatever, 4 or what. And finally it increments. For does all these 3 in a single line, for I in range 4. But while doesn't do that. While only checks. It does only the checking operation. We have to explicitly say I is 0 and I equal I plus 1 for every time the loop goes on. Okay, so that's how for and while can be used to draw square with shorter